Welcome, everyone. I'm Jeffrey Goodman, Director of Marketing and Development for the YMCA of Northwest Louisiana. And we're here at 318 Latino Studios for Shreveport-Bossier, my city, my community, my home. And we have yet another new discussion today. And what I mean by that is I feel like we're covering some territory we haven't covered to date. And that is our local music industry. So I can't wait to have today's conversation, and our guest is John Hoffman. John, thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, John. So, and if I get anything wrong today, please correct me. But you are, to the best of my understanding, you are at least a second generation local musician. So where I'd like to start today is for you to tell me about your dad, Stan Hoffman.
Sure. All right. So you're right. I'm a second generation musician. My dad, Stan Hoffman, is a piano player, keyboard player. And back in the day, he was a part of a band called the Killer Bees that formed here in Shreveport, along with Malcolm Wellborn, who's known now as Papa Molly, and Michael E. Johnson, who passed away some years ago, but he was the founding member of the Killer Bees. And they found success here in Shreveport before moving to Austin and finding even more success. And
when you say back in the day,
we're talking the 80s. Yeah,
okay.
Back in, I think the Killer Bees moved to Austin around 85. And I was a little kid, and was able to go and experience Austin as a very young child alongside my dad and the Killer Bees. So I got to see 6th Street and, the Austin vibe a long time ago before it became kind of what it is now. And the pure vibe, I guess I would call it, but it was a fun time. But Dad's a phenomenal musician, and he's still, around town is known as one of the premier keyboard players around and has a reputation of his own.
And who's he, like, where can I find your dad these days? Does he have a steady band, or if I'm looking to...
These days, Dad's a little hard to find, but typically, he's on vacation right now, but typically you can find him all over town. He normally plays with me every Monday night at the Tiki Monday Night Blues Jam, which was the Lee's Monday Night Blues Jam for many years. He's the house keyboard player there. He plays in a couple of his own bands. I couldn't tell you the names of them off the top of my head, but he plays kind of with a lot of people who hire people or need somebody, as a fill-in. But that's pretty much. He does a lot of solo acts. You can find him at Two Johns or Superior, playing piano and stuff like that. So. And
he goes by Stan Hoffman.
Stan Hoffman, yeah.
And is that correct? Are you only a second generation, or was there...
My grandfather played a little harmonica, played a little guitar, sang a little bit, but he was never pursuing music. Just loved music. And my grandmother was the same way. She actually she worked the door at the Lee's Monday Night Blues Jam until she was about 75 years old, just so she could be a part of the music on some level. But the music really started with my dad, and he was the first one from a young age. They pushed him, let him grow and got him lessons. He was playing music since he was, probably started his first band when he was 12 or something like that. And just a career of it, never really did anything else. And I also have a brother that plays drums as well. And so the two of us, we sort of ventured off into our own thing in our own ways. And my brother, Eddie Hoffman, who goes by Machete Eddie, is a death metal drummer. And so...
locally?
He actually moved to Arkansas a couple of years ago. But yes, he was local for a long time and established himself here. He's toured the world with lots of bands that are in the metal world, very well established. And he himself is very well established. But as a kid, I was already playing drums and on my way with it. And he was my younger brother. So he didn't really want to be the kid brother that also plays drums. So he found his own path and started playing metal, which is not really something I do. I do just about every style of music, but I don't really play a lot of like extreme metal. And Eddie, on the other hand, is very good at it. His feet are really, really fast. He does the blast beat thing with his hands. So it's just, it's really a sight to watch. But he carved his own path, and he's an amazing drummer on his own.
So how did you, I didn't ask a formal question about it, but how did you first find drums?
I think I was born wanting to play drums. I think if I could have held the drumsticks when I came out of the womb, I would have started playing drums right then. But I was about 18 or 20 months old when I actually started playing drums. And my parents got me a little toy drum set at that age. And there's my mom was a bit of a photographer, and so there's a lot of photos of me playing back then. But I don't think I have an answer, because as long as I can remember, I've always been playing drums, and I think I just naturally gravitated towards that. And I can see that in other small children too. Like I can kind of tell, like you can see real small babies that might not be able to process too many words yet, but they see a drum set and they just want to go and they just want to hit. And it's like, well, that's a drummer, you can just see. And so for me personally, I don't think I have an answer. I think I just was born into it, and I think some other people realize that it's at a very young age too. And I was just lucky enough to have cool parents that, my dad was a musician, my mom was very supportive. So when I showed an interest in drums, they immediately took to it and let me do my thing. So I'm fortunate for that.
Love it. All right, so you and I were talking off camera before we started. You have been and are currently a member of a number of local bands. So my question is, can you tell me about the groups you're currently fronting and or a part of?
Sure. Well, fronting, I'll start with that. I'm the front man for the local Bayou reggae band Stiff Necked Fools, and we've been around for about 15 years now. That's my main band that I spend time as a front man. I'm able to really focus on putting all of my energy onto entertaining and focusing on vocals. And so we don't play too much anymore. We play a few times a year, but we got started at the Tiki Bar about 15 years ago on a thing that got dubbed Reggae Thursdays, and we were playing every single Thursday night. And it started off as a small thing. It got bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where around the summers of 2010 and 11, you could barely get into the building because it was so packed and it was such a vibe and such a fun time. And so that really propelled that band into making an album, making a video, getting on the road, linking up with other big artists and, kind of trying to grow. And we went real hard at it for about 4 or 5 years, really trying to hit that plateau, and had a lot of success, had a lot of heartbreaks as well. And, basically just established ourselves as a band that's going to, through major success or minor success, we're going to be around for a while and keep doing what we're doing. Having said that, a couple other bands kind of ventured off of that, and one is called Max Dab, which me and the guitar player Chase Parker from Stiff Necked Fools are a part of. And we have an album out that came out in 2017 called Dragonfly. And we are actually playing a show at Strange Brew this Saturday, October 12th. And it's been our first Max Dab show in a long time, so we're looking forward to that. And the third band that I sing for is Tree Fitty Trio, which is also involving Chase Parker on guitar, and also Logan Lewis, who's one of my best friends and runs the Revel at this point, the Red River Revel, and you know him well, and it's sort of an acoustic reggae vibe where Logan and I will trade off songs, and he can do his many songs in his repertoire, and I can go back and forth, and it's a fun time,
Awesome. All right, so talk to me about the local music scene. My question is kind of 2 or 3 parts. Is it healthy? Where is it thriving? And how could it continue to evolve to become even more vital? Okay,
good questions. So what was the first question?
So, is it healthy?
Is it healthy? Okay, so an honest answer is not really. It could be better. And I think that that's just a reflection of kind of the overall town, not necessarily just the music scene. There are things that could improve in a lot of places that I think would improve the music scene. But currently, you have a sort of limited amount of places to play. Coincidentally, those places that are there to play have kind of been the ones that have withstood the test of time and have, kind of been the established venues around here and are still successful, which is great. But we could always use more venues. Things changed, of course, after COVID. A lot of people don't go out anymore. The people that do go out, by 9 o'clock, they're yawning. It's time to go home. I'm one of them. I can't say I'm not. I've definitely changed as far as like my habits as well. So that's another thing that would have to sort of be, readdressed, and there would have to be things that would reappeal to the people that used to come out in the other times. Olden days, I guess you'd call it. But and also,
let me interrupt one sec. So, you have any thoughts around that? Like, what would cause them to kind of reestablish a relationship, or what would have, as you say, a reappeal to this group? Well,
perhaps earlier shows, maybe Sunday concerts. Maybe throw a concert from 3 to 5 p.m. On a Sunday sometimes, so that the families and kids can come see a band instead of having to go out to a bar or something. That type of thing, and just an overall sort of maybe mass marketing. Maybe everybody sort of do a little more to sort of hype up the city, and there are some people that do a great job of that, but there's not enough. We need more people to sort of let everybody know, because there's a lot of talent here. That's the thing. In Shreveport, the ones that know that there's a lot of people, a lot of talented musicians in this place, and we don't necessarily get a chance to thrive as much as other bigger cities. I mean, it is what it is, but those are a couple little things. Now, having said that, there's an opposite sort of version of that. When I first moved to town, there was a massive late
Let's stop
nightlife.
one second.
Okay, sure.
So, you were born here?
No, actually, I was born in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Okay.
I grew up here for the first 5 years of my life. Moved to Austin for about 5 or 6 years. Came back here for about 5 years. Lived in Arizona for about 10 years, and now I'm back here.
Since maybe 2004, 2005.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So when I first moved back here, coming from Phoenix, which is a huge city, I mean, it was a very different place. But the nightlife, it pretty much would shut down around 12:45. That was about last call. Bars were done at 1, and by that point, everything's up. That's it, And so I was used to that. And when I came to Shreveport, the downtown would stay open all night till the sun came up. And as a young, guy in my 20s, that was amazing. Like I fell right into that. It was a lot of fun, and there was a lot of people out. There was a lot of bars. There were a lot of venues. There were bands that wouldn't even start sometimes until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. That carried on for a while. Even Fatty Arbuckle's down under the bridge would do that. And in the early Stiff-Necked Fools days, some of the best shows we ever played were under that bridge starting at 1 a.m. and there were people out and supporting. And so there's talking earlier about having the ability for earlier shows and earlier access. There's also a lot missing out on that, on the lack of the late night downtown crowd that once was there and very much a part of the city.
Are those places, I mean, I'm older and I'm not really frequenting that anymore, but are those, for people who are curious or who are those places still open are there places downtown that are still open that late? And
I think I haven't gone and hung out downtown like that in a long time, but I'm pretty sure there are a couple places. I think Fatty Arbuckle's is still operating, but it's not like it was. I don't think I think when I got here in 2005 or so, it was actually kind of on the back end of that whole scene. I think it was already kind of dying down a little bit. But in the meantime, it's there. The laws are in place for all of the businesses to operate. Everything is kind of set. It's just the scene isn't quite there. We see glimpses of it, when the Revel happens just this past week. I mean, downtown is full of people. And 50 Cent came through not too long ago, and you couldn't even get downtown. It was so packed full of people. So, the opportunity is there, and, the people are, I guess, still willing to do it if there's something worth going out there. So,
Okay, yeah, I think we hit my 3 or 4 part question.
I'm not sure if I answered it.
No, that was great.
Yeah.
That was great. All right, so my next question's kind of a little of a shift, and it's just, leaning on you for guidance and advice, or some more guidance and advice. Just where and how do you suggest someone network who wants to be a part of the music scene here in town?
Well, I mean, the short answer is you just got to get out there. You got to put yourself out there. But I think the best way to meet people as a musician is to go to the jam sessions, which there are a handful. I do the Monday night. I'm the host of the Monday night blues jam at Tiki every Monday. I say I'm the host. I'm the house drummer, and I kind of organize it there. And we have a different guest host every week. Everybody's welcome to come and play. So it's a very cool place to meet, especially some of the older guys, the blues guys and stuff like that. But I mean, the crowd there that comes in there are, kids that are 21 and just got old enough to get in there to, in their 80s, and everywhere in between, and everybody's welcome. And then you also have Jim's Jam at Noble Savage on the 3rd Sunday, I think, of every month. And then they also do the Thursday night jam at the Noble Savage, Dirty Reds Jam. Any of those places, go and meet people, and that's
These are all open.
Absolute open mics. Yeah, you just go and introduce yourself, and there's a very, very good chance that you will get up and play music with people, and that's just as simple as it is. At that point, it's up to you. You get a chance to do your thing and meet, hobnob, and rub elbows, and exchange phone numbers and text messages with people, and it leads to other things.
Is there any site that you know of or lean on in terms of getting your information? Like, hey, I really want to see some live music this week, or hey, I really want to see some live music tonight. Let me go see what's happening. Is there any place that you trust that aggregates that information and curates it for folks?
I know that there are a couple of sites that do that. I don't want to butcher their names and try to say them, but I do follow a couple people that will advertise sort of the live local stuff. But to be honest, I sort of just skim Facebook and Instagram, and the ones that are advertising their shows that I follow tend to pop up every time. If you're scrolling, so I tend to get most of my information there, just from the public, social media, people posting stuff, as opposed to seeking an actual, devoted site to it.
And these are bands you're following or venues you're following? Like, it could be, hey, let me see what Bears is posting, or let me see what Noble's posting. Or... Yeah,
absolutely. So it goes kind of both ways. If you follow Bears and you follow X number of bands around town, you can say, well, let me see what's happening at Bears. You can go on Bears Instagram or Facebook page, and they'll usually have a list, or the bands that are playing will post on the Bears page. Or you can maybe go check out the band that you're specifically want to see if they posted anything. And usually the bands that are out there and have a bit of a following do a pretty good job of letting the public know. And to be honest, I mean, Facebook is a tremendous advertisement. It really, I've come to realize that even if people don't interact with your stuff, a lot of people see the stuff that people post on Facebook, because, I'll post a drum video or something of myself, and I won't get a lot of interaction. And for the next few days, I'll get people that I see me in public going, hey, I like that video that you posted, or hey, that was cool that you did. It's like, oh, so people did see that, And I think that works with, just about anything. So
I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it can be misleading, because, I mean, even me sometimes with the podcast, I'm like, no one's watching, no one's commenting, and then someone will come up to me the next day and say, hey, I really enjoyed your interview this week.
I not to get into it too much, but since I've been doing a lot of self-content and drum videos and social media content, I've gotten a lot more in touch with the numbers versus, views versus interactions versus likes versus comments, and it takes a lot to get people to interact with you, So if you get 10 likes, there's a good chance more like 100 people probably saw that, and maybe 10 people hit the like button, So it's tough to really know, you know.
And where do people, because I actually saw a good number of your drum videos preparing for today, tell people like where they can look you up and get more information about you on the internet?
Yeah, sure. So I kept it real simple. And a few years ago during COVID, I, like a lot of people, had a lot of time on my hands. Come to find out, the entertainment and music business was like the first thing to go whenever we started having all the rules put in place. So I ended up, you know, basically having to find a new hobby and something to do to occupy my time, and I landed on making these drum videos. And so whenever
they're amazing, by the way.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's become a real a big part of my daily routine, and I've worked really hard to try and get, you know, as many followers as I can. And like we're talking about people, you know, interacting, it's tough, you know. And I think I've put out about 300 videos now, and it's just now starting to get some steam going. But in any case, you know, going back to where they can find me, I kept it real simple when I started doing these videos, and it's all just John Hoffman Drums. So my name with drums on any of the socials that I'm on, and that's where I'm at. It's no underscores or anything, you know, it's just John Hoffman Drums. So.
Awesome. My next question is, we all know that New Orleans has this amazing, vibrant music scene. My questions, I have 2 or 3 questions here. My questions are, what keeps you here, number one? And second question is, how do we keep more of our local musical talent from moving to New Orleans or places like Nashville or Austin?
Sure. You know, well, I guess the first part, what keeps me here, Shreveport has been a good town to me. You know, people talk about it. I think I even just kind of talked about it in a bad way maybe a few minutes ago, or it would be perceived that way. And it does need a lot of work. Shreveport's not perfect, but since I've been to this town, I've been able to make a full-blown career of playing music. And I'm confident that I can do that wherever I go. But having done that here and established myself here, it became my home. And I think that I just fell into somewhat the comfort of Shreveport, but it also, I enjoy it here. I don't hate it here as much as a lot of other people seem to. I've thought about taking off to New Orleans a few times. Going down there, you know, I'm confident in my abilities, but the amount of talent down there it's incredible, as you just stated. I mean, it's world class. So I would be competing immediately with some of the greatest drummers living on the planet right now. That's a little intimidating, you know, to think whenever I'm already kind of doing my thing here in our town. But I do love going and playing in New Orleans. I get the chance to do so every once in a while, and it's always fun. I've gotten to play on Frenchman, and you know, gotten to play at the Maple Leaf and a lot of the iconic places down there. So I've gotten a little bit of the vibe. But you know, the drummers, you know, speaking from the drummer perspective, the guys that are down there, they're the local guys there. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the guys that are the best, or considered the best, they grew up there. They went to high school there. They went to college around there. You know, they're the local music scene in that city. It just happens to be that the music scene in that city is so huge that it kind of transcends the city, and it becomes a global scene, or at least a nationwide scene, I guess. But so it's a little different in Shreveport. It's easier here, you know, but that goes back to it. Like I said, it's been good to me here, and I can't complain. And it just never really made sense to me to go and struggle somewhere else. You know, if I had the opportunity, if there was a band or situation there, and I was already being brought into a gig that was paying well and already established, that's a different thing, you know. But in the meantime, I've been able to tour and play with a lot of great artists right here in Shreveport, and I've never felt too much like I was missing out on anything, you know.
Well, John, you're a major local talent, and I believe, having heard you play, that you'd be a major talent wherever you were. Those were my set questions, but like I told you before we started, you know, those were just the few things that jumped off the page when I was getting ready for today. Is there anything else you want to get into or share? We have all the time.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
well, like I was saying earlier, I didn't really have a plan. I didn't really overthink this interview, and I wasn't quite sure how this was all going to go. But so I didn't really think of too many things that I would, definitely need to plug. But I guess the main thing I could plug is, I've been really focused on my social media presence and social media career. And so I would love to just be able to plug that. I'd love to invite everybody to follow me and John Hoffman Drums.
Facebook, Instagram, both?
Facebook and Instagram. I have the largest following of them on Facebook.
Okay.
And that's the one that's been growing the most lately. But I'm going to be working on trying to get my Instagram and YouTube following as well. And I have a TikTok as well, but I haven't been focused on that as much either.
And we'll find John Hoffman drum videos on John Hoffman Drums Facebook and Instagram pages.
That's correct, yeah. And okay. I post every day or every other day. So anybody that's a fan of drums, I would love to have more support there, and hopefully I'll keep them entertained. And as I said, I'm playing a show this Saturday at Strange Brew with my buddy Chase Parker. We're Max Dab. And that's going to be a fun show. It's kind of a electronic reggae type of thing. I'll be singing.
John has a great voice. And John also told me, I think off camera, that he teaches drums. So anyone listening that maybe wants to take some drum lessons, run down John. I don't think you could find a better local teacher for that.
Well, appreciate that, yeah.
Anything else, John?
Oh, I'm sure there's plenty. I can't think of anything right off the top of my head. I'm sure I'll think of it as soon as I'm in the car. But, I just, keep an eye out, I guess. I try to do my best at letting everybody know what I'm doing, through my socials. And, anybody that follows me, hopefully they can just see what I'm up to and follow along,
And I will say, I said it when I had Logan on here recently talking about the Revel. I think all of us as a community, there's some obligation and responsibility on us too. Like, if we want these kind of people to be here, we need to come out and support them. And that falls on us. I mean, they're providing this service. They're out there working hard to kind of lift us up. And in return, we should come out and support them and come listen to them and make an effort to make time to be a part of the arts and culture that we have here right in our backyard.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. I mean, and it's everybody. We can all do our own part, as the artists. We can continue to do whatever we can do to create an environment and a vibe and a scene here that's unique and fun and makes people interested. And the talent is definitely here. We have the puzzle pieces in place. It takes everyone, and I think it would take a little bit of a mind, a little bit of a different thought process, and maybe that's just coming over a little bit of time. Maybe we're still a little used to being secluded from COVID, and everybody's kind of used to their own space, their own schedule, their own time. So I was just talking about this the other day, how, before the internet, or at least before smartphones, a TV show would come on. You had to be in front of a TV at a certain time in a certain place in order to see that, and you couldn't see it on your own terms. And now everything is on everybody's own terms. And even when you don't go and experience live music, you can still look at your Facebook and see all the pictures and see the live feed and feel like you know what happened and you didn't miss out. But that's never going to replace the magic and the absolute energy that you experience from live music and live art and entertainment. There's nothing that can replace that, and you have to go and see that for yourself. And I think an incentive for that is, get your children involved. Let your children experience that at a young age, grow their interest in that. Raise little guitar players and drummers and singers yourself, and keep them interested in. I think that the future generations will maybe correct some things that went off course a little bit for us. But
yeah, I can't do any better than that. So I say we drop the mic right there.
Sounds good.
Thanks, John. Appreciate you being here.
My pleasure.